Impartial media. Impartial media. That's us. That's us. By the way, any of the TV channels, if you want a decent reporter. Okay. So we would like to actually just have a quick chat. If anyone would like to, if we're doing the live streaming, come on in. Come on in. So, first person to chat to
cozy, isn't it?
Yeah, Richard.
Here we go.
The direction in the direction of Richard, who is the face that most of us deal with. Richard is has been one of the main organisers of this Veterans Against Terrorism, and I'm no doubt that he has got some messages that.
Well, I'm not taking the blame for all of it. There are a few other people involved as well. You know, I'm just the one that puts my face above the parapet. You know, so that's
that is a big decision, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it is a big decision, but you get the best seat on the bus when you do that. You see. So.
You mean you drive it?
Well, no, I wouldn't drive it. I wouldn't drive it, but you can get to sit on it for a little while. But no, I mean what we've done, we've joined with the FLA for today to do a mega march. Hopefully a mega march. We don't know how many people are going to come. There should be tens of thousands, and we're here on the bus because we're going to be doing some speeches. People from all different backgrounds. We've got former police officers, we've got ex-SAS men, we've got someone from the Sikh community, we've got one of the founder himself, John, the main guy in the football lads. So there's a good mix of people speaking. In fact, we've got, which is a bit of a which is really interesting. We've got a guy who's best mates with Keith Palmer, the very brave police officer that was murdered in Westminster, and he deserves a round of applause. He really does. And
that gentleman's also ex-police himself.
He's ex-police and ex-military, so
yes.
He's a really, really good guy. So we've got him, and it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day.
What would you say to all those people who assume, and they've listened to media or they've listened to friends who've said that basically it's a whole bunch of right-wingers and Nazis coming out? I mean, what would you say to that?
Well, I mean, it's laughable. I mean, this is... the laugh of it is we're more multicultural than the left-wingers are. You've got the left-wingers, you've got a whole lot of white middle-aged men shouting at people from the Asian and from the West Indian community who are marching with us and calling them racist. That's honestly what happens. It's insane. It's just... It's like the world Turner said, there is no way that this march is in any way racist. That's just preposterous, and it's insulting. It's insulting to the veterans. It's insulting to decent football fans. Most football fans are totally multiracial background. I mean, there's this whole idea. I mean, they need to be going back to the 1960s or 70s to find anything like that, and it's not here. To be quite honest, it's actually slander against the movement. And you just wonder what the motive behind that is, because we're here because of the terrorism, we're here because of extremism, so we're standing against extremism. In fact, there's groups like Unite Against Fascism, and I wish they would actually unite with us because we're against fascism, right? Wouldn't that be good if Unite Against Fascism actually say, okay, those guys are saying they're against fascism, why don't we take them at a word and unite with them? So there's an invite to Unite Against Fascism. Come and join us and march with us because we're against fascism too. A lot of the fellas here, the veterans, have fought against fascism all over the world.
Exactly. And so do you think that people have either got to the point where they're so tired of being labelled for something that's completely inaccurate, or they just don't care anymore, or do you think they still find it insulting?
Well, I think I laugh at it because it's so ridiculous that you just laugh and you just go, well, look, if you knew my background, you would not call me a racist. It's preposterous. It's the same with all these guys, There's a lot of guys here from mixed race families, I find it absolutely preposterous, but I don't even want to dwell on that because why should we give them, publicity? I mean, there's like, what is it? There's going to be about 150 people wearing masks calling us fascists. It's a bit strange, isn't it?
I personally think that if anyone hasn't got the spine to turn up and show their face, but hides it with black masks, then they're not somebody I would trust.
I think what you've got to do is just laugh at them, ignore them, don't get involved, don't engage with them, don't get involved in any rough and tumble with them. Just leave them to it and let them go home after the march, and that's it.
Gentlemen, can I say a little bit? No? Okay, so can I ask someone else here a question?
I'll do it.
Yeah? Okay, so what do you think of the lack of preparedness or willingness by mainstream media to actually cover events such as this?
Well, I suppose some of the mainstream media, they want to feature on a narrative, and if the story doesn't fit the narrative, i.e. that these people are coming here, they're not the sort of bother-booted white skinheads, then it's quite boring. I mean, you always follow these accusations of racism. Well, no doubt you'll speak to Mike Owen a bit, who's a black guy, who's a friend of mine, who's actually invited me. It's a rum old situation when a white and a black guy turn up and both of them get accused of being racist. So, and we're both former police officers who work together, and we're both former soldiers.
Who's next? This gentleman here, Mike. No, is it Mike? Yes. Right. I saw you last time. You were in a very dapper jacket last time. Yes, very smart.
Karina's been promoted to journalist now.
Okay.
Next week I'll probably be the cook. Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. Okay, so is there anything that you'd like to actually say as to why you're here today?
Well, the reason why I'm here, obviously, I met Richard in the last meeting in London. That was a Veterans March in central London. And it's very personal to me, because I, for one, have lost a friend, Keith Palmer, who was killed. He was a police officer. He was killed. He was a police officer, friend and colleague of mine. He was killed outside Westminster. And also, I have a friend of mine, Wayne Marks. Unfortunately, he was the police officer who tackled the 3 terrorists by himself at London Bridge. He is now slowly recovering, but it's scarred for the rest of his life. He doesn't know if he's got a career once he finishes, once he goes through rehab. But I'm here to support them and my beliefs. We've got to worry about our children, their children. We've got a lot of problems ahead of us, and we want to be safe. We need to be safe, and that's the reason why I'm here. I invited my friend Ian, who is also we served together, and Mike, who was my boss when I was in the police. We both retired, and he's saying views. I just heard what Mike has just said. That it's not about racism at all. It's about doing what's right for this country. And what's right for this country is protecting everybody in it.
And do you think the politicians have anything to answer for? Do you think that there's reasons of why they are doing the softly approach, that we just don't tend to see any major results? After these, we've had 5 successful terror attacks, and what have we seen? What has actually changed that the public know about?
Well, you talk about softly approach. I believe there is a softly approach. I don't know why. I don't know why we just, the government know of 3,000 people are on the warning list. Why are we not doing something about this? Why are they walking the streets, creating havoc, creating fear? Those poor people in Manchester, those children who were killed, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. That could have been any one of our children. And I think the government need to wake up, open their eyes, irrespective of what party they are, open their eyes and realise what is going on. This is not a racial thing, and as Mike has just said, it's nothing to do with race. This is something we need to do for us to protect us.
So, because obviously, we're all tired of the fact that there's groups like this forming, the numbers are getting bigger, we're writing to MPs, we're doing our speeches, we're doing our walks and so on. We seem to get no acknowledgement from anybody. There's this simmering undercurrent throughout society, in all different types, of people who've had enough. Why do you think that they're not facing that? Why do you think that they're not doing that?
I think they're not doing this because they're frightened to offend.
Right.
To offend.
To offend who? The people who are potentially...
Our enemies.
Yes.
Those people who are causing us problems. That's what they're fearing. We do not want to upset. And it's not about upsetting. There's far more of us than these terrorists. We need to nip it in the bud to protect and save our children and our future.
So we all deserve a safe society.
Of course.
Every single one.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah. And regardless of your religious beliefs.
Religious belief, race, whatever, creeds, whatever.
The lot. Everybody deserves to be safe.
Absolutely.
And the government is failing in that.
In my eyes, I believe that.
Gentlemen, anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd like to add is that you only have to look at the mix of people that are on this march today. Here we're not looking at a particular ethnic group, we're not looking at a particular political party. There's people here from so many different backgrounds and political beliefs, and what we're just fed up with is that it seems to be a lack of willingness from the authorities and the government and our political leaders to actually grasp the nettle, as it were, and actually say, you know what, we really do need to do something, and I'm sorry if that is going to offend certain parts of our community, but to make our country and the people who live in it safe. I mean, this is the principal responsibility for the government of this nation is to protect the people of the nation, and we're marching today because we feel that that is not happening anymore, and a lot of people feel very, very strongly about that, and especially within the veterans community, the only colour that matters to us is green. We don't judge someone by the colour of their skin, and we don't judge them by their political or their religious beliefs. We judge them by their deeds and their actions.
And sorry, for those who don't have a military background, could you please explain by the colour green?
Green. It's the army colour. It's what we wear. Camouflage, uniforms, everything's green. From your socks to your mug, it's green.
Sometimes your face.
So that's what we say. We say the only colour that's important to us is green.
As long as it's not your food.
Sometimes it's not as well.
Eat your greens, right?
But it's true. You ask anybody here, do they care about the colour of someone's skin? The answer would be no, of course not. Do you care about someone's political belief? No, not at all. Do you care about someone's religious belief? Not an iota. Do we care about keeping the people in our country and our country safe? Yes, hugely. Vast majority of these veterans here actually fought against terrorism in Northern Ireland and other places. And then to come home and see it happening on a almost daily basis and nothing being actually done by the government, that's why we're forced to take to the streets. And the sad thing is, will any of this be on mainline media today? No, of course not.
Well, that's the thing, is they're all notified several times with emails and letters and so on like that, and it's a gross deficiency if they don't turn up. It's actually an insult to tens of thousands of people who've actually turned up, but also the hundreds of thousands of people around the country who would like to come along but don't have that opportunity to come along. It's an insult to the people who, we all deserve to have better. We all deserve to be safe in our countries, and we're all prepared to stand up and say that. So I think it's only reasonable that we get given that opportunity to say it. I mean, if everybody can be on television for 30 seconds of fame for something that's potentially not that interesting or not that relevant, this is relevant. This is relevant to every single one of us. How do you know that your school that you take your kids to isn't the next one to be attacked? How do you know that the ladies who go to the supermarket today aren't going to be potentially blown up simply because none of them are, complying to the law that somebody wants to impose on us? How do you know that something's not going to happen to us today? None of us need to or want to live with that kind of concern or fear, and we shouldn't have to.
Well, if you look right now, you've got thousands of people who have served this country.
Outside. If you just shift the camera outside, how many people are lined up on the outside?
Yeah. You've got thousands of people here who have served their country. Okay? And we are marching peacefully through our capital city today to say to the government we're not happy with the way things are going. Will that be shown in mainstream media? No, it won't. If we were to all stop outside Downing Street and start throwing rocks, oh my God, we would be all over the media. So, and I think it's very one-sided and it's very unfair because we're not a hot topic for the social media and we don't fit into their idea of what we are. Because if we behave badly and throw stones at 10 Downing Street or stop climbing the rails of Parliament, look, there they are, there's those bad guys. But because we're being peacefully and protesting in our lawful and democratic way, we're not used. And it's sad.
Regardless of the numbers. Eventually those numbers will get to tipping point though, where they'll have to actually really pay attention.
Well, I wonder if they will.
I don't know. No. People only hold patients for so long, I think. So, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. No napping on the job.
Do you want a jacket? Do you want a jacket? Waterproof jacket.
You have a spare? Be happy to wear it. Tell you what.
Oh, that's not.
You've got your MREs in there as well.
And he takes all major
You've got your little-
No, that's just my. That might be a bit smelly, but it's going to keep you dry, so you know that'll do. There you go.
As in, does it have a label on it? Like as in,
Yes. There you go.
I don't need that label. I mean,
It's not a badge. No, it's not one of these ones.
I was going to wear my hot picture.
you put that on
No,
the
I
top
just
of it.
blend into the crowd. I just look like everybody else.
Will you be dry? You know.
I'll be dry. Thank you.
Actually,
Is it raining?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Oh, right. Okay.
that's why I give you.
Oh, well, there you go. I thought you just didn't want to carry the weight.
Give it a
Carry the
little
weight. Right. This bus is going to get full, isn't it?
Yeah. All good. Everyone happy?
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything more? No? Sorry.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great.
The guy in the wheelchair just brought it down. So. Starting to get a bit wild now. Yeah.